G'day there guys, my wife just left me and took the kids and now I have to pay full custody. What will I do? You can tell me today on today's episode of r/relationship advice. Hope you enjoy the stories, tell me what you think of it, and that's all I have to say. Posted by user throwra12343. Titled, How Should I, 36 Female, React to Husband, 40 Male, Suddenly Zoom Calling with His Ex? Background. He and I have been together about 15 years. Lately, I feel like we've been growing apart. Nothing major, I just feel like he kind of forgets I exist. He's always working and I'm not really a priority to him. And now with the pandemic, since we're at home together all the time, he feels like we do spend time together, even though it's mostly watching TV at night or eating lunch over the sink together. This is not the first time I've sensed this distance between us. Current issue. My husband has remained good friends with his ex-girlfriend for probably 20 years, before my time. I am not a huge fan of their friendship, but he insists on keeping it, so I usually let it go because he doesn't listen or respect my opinion anyway. She's married and lives far away, so as far as I'm aware, they only interact on social media every now and then. Today at lunch, he told me that he was jumping on a Zoom call with her. As far as I know, this is the first time they've spoken face-to-face since they broke up 20 years ago. He has now been in this Zoom call for 2 hours and counting. Apparently, she also has this online conference thing that she's hosting tonight, and he told me he's going to tune into that too. I also found out that she had a conference the night before last. That night he was in his home office working really late. But now I wonder if he attended that conference too without telling me. I feel like I should talk to him about how I feel, but am I overreacting? At lunch, when he told me about today's Zoom call, he asked if it was okay with me in kind of an annoyed tone, and I almost laughed out loud. Instead, I just shrugged and asked if what I thought even mattered. We both knew that he'd do whatever he wanted, whether I was okay with it or not. I know if I broach the subject, I'll just look like the tiresome, jealous wife, but am I justified here? I really can't tell anymore. TLDR, husband is on Zoom call with his ex, I'm not a big fan, and am unsure of whether I should even be upset about it. How should I react, and should I just let it go? Crife8 quotes a few things here and says, Nothing major, I just feel like he kind of forgets I exist. This is never a good sign. My husband has remained good friends with his ex-girlfriend for probably 20 years. I'm on speaking terms with most of my exes too. So far, I don't see anything wrong with it. Without telling me. Beginning to see the problem here? It does read like a business thing. Is said ex in sales or something similar to that where she would be having regular online webinars? Would you feel more comfortable if you were invited to sit in on the web conference as well? And should I just let it go? Not necessarily. If it's a sales call, the objective is to get as many people to hear the pitch as possible. Therefore, it could be useful to her to have you sit in as well. If it's a regularly scheduled catch-up call with old friends, you may be bored, but it won't cause any harm to the conversation to have you in the room. And OP replies, It's definitely not a sales call or anything business related. They are in totally unrelated fields. Conference sounds businessy, but it's like a live stream with a few different people. But I know he's watching it tonight because she's in it. You have some good ideas, but I know he would never let me sit in on a call, and honestly, I'd feel really weird doing that too. Is this from experience or projection? And you'd feel really weird doing that too. You could say that you were lonely and think that it would be nice if you heard more voices other than his and the one between your ears. Further assure him that it will make you a better wife if your state of general happiness is increased. I just know him and he would laugh in my face. He is extremely particular about his privacy. I think you're entitled to feeling this way. Marriage, at least in my life, is an honest partnership. Maybe you can try and address the distance more and express to him that you are kind of feeling like your feelings and opinions do not matter. The best thing you could do for your marriage and mainly yourself is speak to your husband about how you are feeling. If he is not willing to listen to accept your feelings, then maybe you both will have to address a larger issue. You're right. I guess I just need to talk to him. We both hate confronting issues because nothing ever changes. I know I need to talk to him though. Not discussing potential issues is a relationship killer. I come from a family that is generally considered good, but extremely unwilling to open any subject that might lead to confrontation. It doesn't lead to positive long-term outcomes. My sister and I have been actively trying to overcome that in our adult relationships and pushing the uncomfortable conversations with our parents when they arise. It's really hard after decades of repressing conflict. I'm here to tell you, have the hard conversations and know that your relationship will be better for them. You don't know that nothing will change unless you talk about it and decide if you are both willing to deal with the issue or issues. And if you openly discuss it, and he is then unwilling to deal with it, you are faced with a decision. But you have to be willing to have a fair and open discussion first, with a therapist if necessary. Best of luck. Absolutely. Not discussing issues builds the coffin and nails it shut for you. My family, immediate and extended, did this, and I find I keep ending up with men who do it too, even though I've completely flipped the other way and am now vigilant about discussing anything that comes up and being completely transparent. Not in a have-to way, but in a way that shows that I want to have that level of friendship and intimacy with someone and that I care. Stupid family of origin issues. He doesn't listen or respect my opinion anyway. This is the bit that got me. Whether your husband is doing something harmless or not with his ex, at this point I don't think it really matters. What's important is that it seems as though you feel unheard and neglected in this relationship in general, and that is a bad sign. What do you feel would happen if you opened up to your husband and let him know how you feel? Have you felt like this the whole relationship? From this post, it doesn't sound like there is anything jealous wife about your reactions or how you feel. You are reacting to something broken in your relationship. If it was healthy, it wouldn't matter who he spoke to, or you would be dealing with any issues from him. I was looking for someone who would mention this. This is by far the biggest red flag in this post, but OP seems almost resigned that this is how it's going to be. This is the problem that needs to be addressed first and foremost. You cannot be in a life partnership with someone who doesn't care what you think or how you feel. Updates. Just wanted to let everyone know that my husband was in fact cheating on me. He's been having an emotional affair with his ex that stretched over years. He confessed the day after I posted the original. We are now headed toward divorce after 15 good, well, I thought so anyway, years together. Trust your intuition. And to everyone who told me I was just not being confident enough, or that I was being jealous, please go F yourselves. Thank you. Edit. Thank you everyone for being so nice. It means so much. To answer a few questions, he loves her and has said repeatedly that if forced to choose, he will choose her. So no reconciliation on the horizon. Emotional affair equals no physical contact, but an intimate emotional involvement with romantic intentions. Yeah, I messaged the ex's husband with all the details, and he read it. Apparently he's fine with it because they are not splitting up. She told my husband a couple of weeks ago she also had long-time feelings for him, and after that they were sexting, so it did have a sexual element. And they have been online pals in regular contact for at least 7 years, and he always refused to stop talking to her. Turn Burn says, there is no way this won't taint your memories of your relationship, the good and the bad. But don't forget, you are the person you are today because of those experiences. So if you ever start to doubt yourself or feel like you've wasted that time, remember, he's the one that wasted it. You get to walk away from this knowing you chose to care for yourself, and he's always going to know that he screwed up and that you know the real him. Keep your head high. It sucks, but you got this. Thanks. That helps because I've been thinking I kind of wasted that time, but I like what you said here. A failed relationship should only be considered wasted time if you learned nothing from it. We are the sum of our experiences, both good and bad. And there is no true appreciation of beauty without a metric crap ton of ugliness to give it context. That's my fortune cookie moment. Thank you for saying this. My husband wanted to reconcile after I caught him cheating, and part of me wanted to stay because a divorce meant I had failed. Your words are a good reminder that I did not fail at the marriage, only he did. I felt like that after my first divorce for a bit, until someone told me sometimes we need to fail in order to succeed beyond our wildest dreams. I've found that saying to be 100% true. It's okay to fail sometimes, even at marriage. As long as we get up and keep trying, that's what matters most. I'm sorry you're going through this, but good for you for trusting your gut and getting out of this relationship. You deserve so much better. Thank you. I'm scared of what's next, but I also feel stronger each day. I guess it could feel super cliche at this point, but there is a great insight to what Dolores said in Westworld. The pain, their loss. It's all I have left of them. You think the grief will make you smaller inside, like your heart will collapse in on itself, but it doesn't. I feel space is opening up inside of me, like a building with the rooms I've never explored. Good luck, girl. There's a brand new life waiting for you. He doesn't listen or respect my opinion anyway. From your last post. I'm sorry this happened to you, but from that line alone, I think you'll be happier without that kind of person in your life. Yeah, that line stuck out to me as well. I'm confused as to how she thought this was a good relationship after stating that. Posted by user Throw Rand Ghosting Advice, titled, My 38 female ex-fiancé ghosted me, 39 male, before our wedding. It's been 16 years, and now she wants to talk it over again. Should we reopen closed wounds? I was never given an explanation. She just left and told nobody. It was literally right before our big wedding ceremony. She didn't leave a note, nothing. Just left. Even her family were left baffled. She just up and left. We had dated all through high school and all through college. She eventually returned, but not to me. I had learned via a third party, her parents, she had no intentions of coming home. She wanted nothing to do with me and told her parents to avoid having me around. I never got a choice in the matter. I respected her wishes, and I never understood why she did it. My only guess was she had a mental breakdown because she cut off all contact with everyone. We were both young and still growing. I don't know, but I've struggled with it since. Out of the blue, she DMs me on Facebook after all these years and wants to meet up. I'm an influx of emotions right now. Angry, nervous, hopeful, sad. I still have feelings for her. I don't know if I could take her back, but looking at her Facebook makes me miss her. She's even better looking than she was before, and single. I'm conflicted. She won't talk about anything as to why she left. She said it's best to do so in person. The only thing I can tell is from her Facebook is a bunch of stuff about her being weak and living a life full of shame and regret and being lonely. This is dumb. She ghosted me, and I should want nothing to do with her, but damn it, I still have feelings for her. I never stopped thinking about her. What should I do? Ghost her in return? Call her out? See where this date takes us? Booty-clad dad says, First off, damn OP, that's rough. 16 years is a long time. Would meeting up with her set you back in the time you've spent getting over this? Or will it give you the closure you never found? I don't know. I just want closure. For the longest time I thought she had cheated on me, but the only things I've been told from her family and the few friends she didn't cut off, it was more like a mental breakdown. I know she was scared to death about the wedding and her looming finals and her career. She was beyond stressed. She ghosted everyone. She gradually came back, but I was never involved. I have never stopped thinking of her. Honestly, it's up to you. If you want to see her because you want closure from that chapter of your life, it may be worth it. If it was me, I would probably go because I can't not know things, even if I wish I could do without the knowledge after I know it. Some things to keep in mind: you are not the same person, and neither is she. This happened a long time ago, and I'd hope that you've moved past it. That doesn't mean she doesn't owe you an apology. You don't owe her anything beyond civility. If you decide a meeting would be too much, she has no right to say otherwise. She can find another way to apologize to you and explain herself. If you're interested in starting a relationship again, you need to be over the previous one. This would need to be a fresh relationship, not a retread of the old one. Any feelings you have for her are for a woman who existed 16 years ago. This woman is who she became, and any feelings for her should be developed after meeting her, if at all. With that in mind, if you don't want to meet, you needn't feel guilty or read further. If you do meet, I'd make it clear that it's strictly not a date from the outset. This woman hurt you, and this meeting is you letting her give you the apology and explanation that she should have given 16 years ago. It's strictly platonic, and after that, it can be a catch-up between two people who fell out of touch. Whatever you decide, try not to dwell on it. No matter what, the past stays in the past, even if the present wears a similar face. A few thoughts. When you are 80, do you think you'll be happy that you never met up with her and talked it out, or regretful? If you do agree to meet up, you need to squash any hopes of getting back together and any hopes of even getting closure. Go into it with a "we'll see what we'll see" attitude. I get that you want closure overall, but sometimes there will never be true closure. You want to understand and for it to feel okay with what happens, but no matter what she says, you are never going to truly understand why she left and cut you off after all you shared. You'll never feel okay about it having happened, and that your life looks different than what you had hoped and dreamed of. You need to mourn that version of your life and the future you had built and planned with her. It's dead and gone. Closure isn't going to happen. But what you need to strive for instead is acceptance. The type of acceptance that says, what happened hurt deeply. I wish it never happened, but it did. And the life I've built since is worthwhile. The good things, people, experiences, etc., in my life are ones I never would have had if it hadn't happened. The person I've become as a result of this experience is someone I'm proud of. I wish I never went through that, but I did. It is what it is. A part of you might always love her. Young loves and first loves are powerful, but that part can be locked into a small corner of your heart, because that part isn't about who she is truly or who she is now. I doubt you'd truly want to be with someone who could abandon you at any moment with no notice. It's about that period in your life and your dreams and hopes and the love you had for her then. But she's not that person you once loved anymore, and you are not that person anymore either. Meet up if you have to, but once it's done, and it didn't turn out to be the fairy tale reunion you're hoping for deep inside, then come back to your life that you've built and do the hard work of acceptance and moving forward into the next chapter. I'd strongly recommend the book The Journey from Abandonment to Healing. It really helped me. Update. Well, that was something. I got closure at least. We met at a cafe and sat and talked outside. The first thing I noticed was how badly scarred her arms were and how much pain was in her face. Long story short, she wanted to break up long before the wedding. She was too weak and cowardly to speak up for herself. She had a complete nervous breakdown over everything. She had been tired of being forced into doing things she never wanted to do and never having the guts to stand up for herself. She was mad at her family pressuring her to get married and pump out kids. She was mad at them forcing her into a degree that she didn't want. She was mad at herself for not being able to speak up. Nothing she did was justified, which we agreed on. When I first proposed to her, I did it in a public area. I'd put her on the spot and she wanted to say no, but she couldn't bear to see me hurt. She was right. I made all the choices for her. I was a very different person back then, and she was very meek, as in she just went with the flow and had no backbone. I drowned her voice out often, and often never gave her the chance to grow to be a person. Back then, I was often focused only on myself. Well, everything came to a climax, and she had a complete mental breakdown. She ran away from her problems at the behest of her best friend and only person in the world she ever trusted. As she said, it's the only thing she knows how to do. Run. She never had the spine to speak up. Her life just spiraled downwards. She did a few years homelessness after her best friend's husband kicked her to the curb. The rest of that time was spent in prison, which she didn't specify what she did. She was released about a year ago and has been turning her life around. She has a job, she's reconnected with her parents, and she's finally reconnecting with me. She never stopped trying to get in touch with me. As for our future, we have none. We both agreed to end things and go our separate ways. We both are changed, two different people. We have nothing in common and don't live near each other. She doesn't justify what she did, nor does she want to be forgiven. She thinks it's repulsive and is ashamed of her actions. I wanted to be angry, but I couldn't. I just forgave her. With that, we shook hands and said our goodbyes, and that will likely be the last time we ever see one another. It's bittersweet. I got the closure I wanted. We both did. It feels like a burden was released. I know now we never had a future together and never will, but on the other, I'm sad because it's over. All these years, maybe hoping something would happen, were for naught. But in the end, this is an ending, and I finally have closure. Not many get to say that. Do I believe her story? Yes, I do. And even if she is full of crap at this point, does it even matter? I've always known her to be very weak-willed and meek. She often just does what everyone tells her to do, and often runs when things get too difficult. She avoids her problems because she was too weak to stand up to them. I mean, it makes sense why her family would not talk to me about her. They were the typical tiger parents that disowned their problem child. Everyone loves an underdog says, she might be making amends as part of a 12-step program. Glad y'all are doing okay. You will likely go through phases with this still. Losing a relationship is like actual grief. Except that even though you have forgiven her and gotten closure, pain may resurface at times. I hope you can move on and find the right partner for you. Sounds like she went to jail for drug-related offenses if she had ended up homeless and was kicked out. I imagine drugs were a factor of some sort. I don't know, and I didn't ask. It must have been severe because she was in for a good few years. Though she said she lucked out and got sent to minimum security prison. The system didn't F her over in prison, fortunately. Well, that went better than I expected. I'm glad it's definitively over now for you both. Although a lot of time has been lost for either of them, it seems odd that no one noticed the situation of her problems earlier on. It is explained in the post, but it still sounds weird. Sounds like she was repressing a lot, bottling it up inside. Her friend, though? She should have been the one to see it. Her friend was the only one who did. Her friend was an enabler. We all were. Her friend was the one who encouraged her to run. Of course, nobody forced her to. It was all her. If I hadn't ignored her problems, if I actually had been a part of her life, I might have seen. It is what it is, though. Sometimes running is all we have. It gets us the breathing room to learn how to fight, to cope. Running isn't always bad, especially if she was led by all around her. It's not just herself she is running from, but also from the expectations she perceives others have. I'm so glad you got closure. I'm proud of her for being honest and facing you. I hope your life is better moving forward. Running can be healthy, and even good for the reasons you stated, but there is an important part that you stop running at some point, that you use that breathing room to figure things out and go back to face things in a way that doesn't destroy you. Running like OP's ex may have started out as the right move, but at some point just made things worse than they originally were. I say this as someone that has had issues with running and not stopping. It kills relationships, motivation, skills, credit, etc. Alright, that's where I think I'm going to end today's episode, guys. As always, I really do hope you learned something or just really enjoyed the posts that were put up today. Quick shout out to all my new and existing Patreon and channel members. You should be able to see your name on screen right now, and if you don't, then I don't think you're part of the club, and you really should join the club because it's a great club. And I want to thank every single one of you guys for supporting me in this journey. It really means so much to me, and I love you all so much for it. Thank you for helping me out. As you can tell, I'm now happy and healthy back in Australia. Thank God it's not cold like Ireland. I don't like wearing jumpers everywhere. I prefer the heat. Thank you very much. I know that's an unpopular opinion. Anyway, guys, I really do hope you enjoyed today's episode. I'll see you in the next one. Have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you later. Bye.